What's up, Rockstars? If you didn't know, Wizards of the Coast owns D&D. Or at least they think they own it, like a lot. And they think they own everything you ever do in it. Let's discuss. Thank you to my channel sponsor Into the AM. As a company that believes hard work and a great product is a proper way to conduct business, I am delighted to have them as part of the channel. They have some of the coolest graphic t-shirts around and an absolute best fit and feel that has continually exceeded my expectations. With new shirts arriving all the time and other products like boxers, hats, and even a monthly shirt club, I wholeheartedly recommend them to you. Check out the link in my description of this video for an exclusive 10% off everything they sell. As a Magic the Gathering player for many years, all the way from my teenage years, I have long known how terrible of a company Wizards of the Coast can be. However, recently, they've been kind of super terrible. Very greedy, very corporate, very soulless, very money-sucking, very terrible. But what they have done to their own fan base in D&D has been atrocious. I'm going to be talking about what they've done, how they've responded to reactions, and what those reactions were right now. But first, let's get a little taste of what's to come. This is what people call a meme. A meme is kind of like this whole D&D issue because it uses an image that the person probably didn't create, in this case, Star Wars, and creates something new and entertaining for people to enjoy, especially if they enjoy Star Wars, and in this case, D&D melding the two together. So this has Green Ronin, Kobold Press, Rogue Genius, Chaosium, Legendary Games, and at the head, Paizo. I hope I'm saying that right. And it says, the Emperor has made a critical error, and the time for our attack has come. The Emperor being Wizards of the Coast, the subject being D&D. Why all of this? What did Wizards of the Coast do? Wizards of the Coast, if you didn't know, has what's called an open game license. There is the open game license 1.0a, which is kind of the latest and greatest that they've had for many years. What that allows companies to do, or anybody really, is create inside of D&D. In other words, create their own new things and even sell them. That's right. That's where you got a lot of the stuff that I cover on Kickstarter. A lot of Kickstarters support that. They'll supply official 5e compatible stuff and use all of the same wording and verbiage that Wizards of the Coast use and inside of D&D. And that's important because if you didn't know, you cannot copyright mechanics and components that are deemed not very interesting. Like you can't copyright dexterity, for instance, or something like that, right? None of that can be copyrighted. There is, however, word use or complexity or nuance in the system that you can do. For instance, calling that advantage is an example of something from D&D that they can actually kind of fight you legally on. And then, of course, there's their world at large, though mostly I think people tend to start embellishing on that to a great deal, some more than others, though. But anyway, that's the idea, is it's there to foster a community around D&D that is supportive of creativity, which at the end of the day, I think is kind of the overall goal of the entire system. Now, for years and years, Wizards of the Coast has been benefiting from this. If you didn't know, this happens all the time in other companies. Let's take video games, for example. There are some companies that are kind of old school and also kind of terrible, and they will do all sorts of things. Put in very heavy DRM that acts like a virus and infests your computer and doesn't delete with the game to track what you're doing to those game files, to track all sorts of algorithms and parts of your system to try and see if you are cheating, if you pirated something, if you're doing something illegal. And they will do that, the automatic online checks, all that kind of stuff, and even in your single player games. Case in point, I played Dragon Age Origins. That's a video game, if you didn't know, by BioWare. It is a strictly single-player experience, and I was actually playing offline on my Steam account because I lived on campus at college, and the internet was crap. Everybody was streaming a whole bunch of stuff and downloading stuff, and otherwise just using up what little internet that college even had. So I didn't have a good connection. And you know what happened in my single-player game? A pop-up saying that they couldn't connect to the remote servers and couldn't therefore check to see if I was actually playing a real legitimate copy of the game that I bought, and it prevented me from playing. That's the kind of stuff that companies do. Or companies can do other things. For instance, CD Projekt Red, they created The Witcher, they created Cyberpunk 2077 recently. They also released GOG.com, a DRM-free source of video games. They actively provide mod tools so that people can create new content within their game because they realize that that sort of community support and outreach only brings them more business and more money as the adoption grows wider and wider. The more people that can interact with their game and have a positive experience, the better. And they realize that and they support that. Wizards of the Coast used to actually do something quite like that. The open game license was incredible and such a great thing of them to do. It actually is. And I want to give praise where praise is due. When they released that and honored that, that is awesome. However, they have now decided that even at $1 billion worth just recently, that's not enough. Their bottom line needs to increase even more. They need to make more money. And to do that, they're taking away that license. In fact, they're nullifying it. You can't even use it. Even if you signed it, you have to sign this new one to use it. And this new one gives them complete control where they can take anything you create, whether you're a company, whether you're a person, and sell it if they want to, use it if they want to. They'll just give you 30 days notice before they steal it because they're such swell guys, I suppose. They can revoke this license at any time. They can change it at any time. And they have complete control over this. And in fact, they don't have to pay you royalties or anything. They can just take it. They are using this to make sure that they can start essentially either taking control of or charging for use a lot of these things. If you didn't know, stuff like Critical Role is because of this license. They are able to do what they're doing because of that. Now, Wizards of the Coast, because they're stupid, because their upper management is stupid. Let me clarify that. Because their upper management is stupid. Anytime you want to blame a company, blame the upper management. The peons, the little people, they can't make a decision on this. I've been there. I've worked for Fortune 50 companies. It's a terrible experience, and they never listen to you anyway. It's bad. It's oppressive. I wouldn't recommend it ever, and I won't ever do it again. But that's besides the point. The point being that upper management views a company like Critical Role as stealing money from them, which is so inept, so short-sighted, and so utterly stupid. Because of course, Critical Role has helped bring more people to D&D than Wizards of the Coast, I'm sure, has. And that's just one example. All of these other companies helping support the ecosystem around D&D are what make D&D as big as it is now, as popular as it is now. It's why it is the name brand that everybody seeks, because they know about it, because so many people get to enjoy experiences within that, thanks to that open game license. But now they don't want that anymore. They want to partner with, get some of the money with people like Critical Role. So they have this new open game license that removes the old one and gives them all this permission. But what they forgot is that you don't mess with nerds. That's what they forgot. Big mistake on their part. Big mistake. Because not only is the entire nerdom, all of us, anybody even remotely interested in just cool IPs and nerding out over them and using them and having fun with them, is interested in this. Everybody in D&D, everybody standing up with them, canceling orders, canceling subscriptions, all sorts of stuff here. But it gets better. Paizo, who is actually former creators and top executives at Wizards of the Coast, whether it's lawyers, whether it's the creative department, there was a ton of people involved in this that then went and essentially made Pathfinder. Now, what they have done is made a new alternative. They are making, and I believe it is called the Open RPG Creative License, or ORC. And that is something that will be completely and utterly open. Not only that, but it'll be utterly open for forever, irrevocable. They can't change it. It'll always be that way. They're actually wanting to get it essentially eventually even under something like the Linux Foundation or something like that, some nonprofit, super open source people that just really want to keep that open source. And that's kind of the whole deal. That's where this meme comes from. That's where this comes from, is it's them creating a alternative to it, where yes, that means you can't use stuff like Advantage and of some of those other things, but instead create and foster a community-driven approach. Now, community-driven is important. It's important to me. If you don't mind, I do have a quick aside that I am running a fundraiser for my 2023 year for all the content that I do here. I do it because of the community, and it's driven by the community, and I think that's so important. So I'm not off chasing whatever big name thing it is. I'm not chasing Wizards of the Coast. I'm not chasing Warhammer. I cover what I want and make the videos I want for you guys. And that's all thanks to your generous support. So thank you so much for that. That is, of course, linked down below as well. But no, seriously, it is so great to see a company be so adamant about open sourcing things and realizing the benefit that their company gets from having it open source, that they get more money, more name brand recognition, more support, that the more people using their system and being involved and creating within that space, the better. The people making mods, the people updating things, creating their own little spin-offs and all that stuff just adds to it in such a wonderful and natural and sticky way. When I say sticky, I mean non-fickle, something that stays, something that sticks, right? You can have somebody that sees something, it's cool, but then bounces off, and that's their only experience with it. But you can bring lasting passion from fans and make true fans through actions like this. That's super cool to see. Now, there is linked down below updates like this as well. I'm going to list this. And by the way, this is number 12 on trending right now. This is one of many videos I've just watched recently. There's a ton of content creators doing a much better job than I am at covering this under multiple videos. I've been doing it for a while. This is titled, this is by D&D Shorts. He does great work, by the way. Wizards' desperate response to the D&D community backlash. Now, this is actually an email from somebody within Wizards of the Coast. And that's why I'm saying don't just blame upper management, okay? Other people are actually passionate and care. They're just not in a point to be able to make decisions. And that's kind of what this is. But look at this. Wizards of the Coast is delaying the rollout of the new OGL. They were supposed to already release this, but they pulled off on it. They did it because they're hoping you forget. If you didn't know, negative news lasts about 2 weeks normally. If you make a public disaster of a PR move, just shut up for 2 weeks and then come back out when the coast is clear. It's how it works. People cannot stay angry forever, cannot be riled up forever. And it's why the news goes on cycles. It's why it goes from stuff like COVID to the war in Ukraine to, this event or this event, often negative. But either way, like, stuff runs its course and then you're tired of hearing it. You don't care anymore. You're not as passionate anymore about it. Doesn't mean it's not wrong. It's just what they're hoping to do. And the worry I have is that it actually works. So it's important to stay vigilant with this, guys, to really put your foot down. And that's what's great is going back here, Paizo is not stopping. They're saying even if they don't ever release this, we're already determined. We did it. Just the idea that they wanted to take our stuff and use it as their own, even though we have worked so hard for all these years to make great content for people, it's just laughable. And they don't need D&D anymore, and they're proving that. And that's why seeing stuff like this makes me smile every time. Guys, if you have any questions at all or any further information, please let us all know down below. Help educate the community on this. It's a very important thing, of course. And as always, thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day. Take care, guys.